Alright. What is up, everybody? There's probably only one reason why you clicked on this video, and that's because of the thumbnail. You probably want to tune your BMW 340i. Well, lucky for you, I've owned my BMW 340i for about 2 years now, and I would say I'm pretty confident on the ins and out of the B58 engine, as well as what mods you should do first before tuning your car. Spoiler alert, it's not that many. So sit back, grab your favorite beer, and let's get right into this thing.
Yeah, I was asking for a chance, and I see you getting all right. I can't understand.
So before we start, go ahead and do me a favor and click that thumbs up button and like this video. It helps me out tremendously, and it helps my videos reach a broader audience that might have the same questions that you guys are having right now. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel and you like BMW content, specifically B58 340i, and then go ahead and join the family. I do DIYs, reviews, as well as POV drives, so if you're into that kind of thing, go ahead and subscribe. In this video, we are going to cover a few different things. I did want to cover a question that I get asked very often: what all do I need to do to my B58 engine before tuning it? And then I also wanted to go over what mods I recommend you get if you do want to add even more power in the future. So we are going to start at the very basics for people that don't even know what the B58 engine is or what it's capable of. So if you're already knowledgeable of what the B58 is, or you already have a 340, I'll have timestamps down below so you can skip ahead in the video so you don't have to listen to this. But starting off on what is the B58 engine. So the B58 engine is a 3-liter inline-6 turboed engine. Now it is a twin scrolled turbo. Don't get this confused with a twin turbo. So I know sometimes people will look at the engine cover and see twin scroll and then think that their car has twin turbo, but that's not the case with the B58. The B58 only has one turbo. I got an Amazon notification, so I had to go see what it was and check this out. Yes, sir. That shit's fire. I should probably make that the backdrop, huh? Okay, give me a second. All right, my bad. I decided to hang it up mid-video because look at it, it looks fire. Continuing on. All right, so back to the B58. There is a Gen 1 B58 as well as a Gen 2 B58. The Gen 2 B58 is referred to as the B58 TU. Now the Gen 2 B58 is just a beefier version of the Gen 1 B58 with a couple of upgrades as far as timing chain, cooling, but the most notable one, fueling. My 2017 340i has the Gen 1 B58. You can find the Gen 2 B58 in the newer version M340i's, Supras. Now both of these B58 engines are extremely reliable, so let's just start there. The reliability on these engines is insane. A lot of people are saying that this is the most reliable engine that BMW has manufactured, and I would agree 100% with that. Now my BMW in particular, being the Gen 1 B58, makes about 320 horsepower to the crank. As compared to the newer B58 engines that are in the Supra, I want to say they make upwards to like 380 straight from factory, which is a pretty decent amount of power straight from factory. Now whether you have the Gen 1 B58 or the B58 TU, it's pretty similar when it comes to upgrading and getting more power out of the engine, aside from a couple of minor things that we'll get into later in the video. But now that we've learned a little bit about the B58, let's talk about what you guys all came here for. You want to tune your B58, what do you need to do to make sure that it's ready for a tune? Well, honestly, there is none. The B58 engine is pretty robust, to be honest, so it comes straight from factory, ready to be tuned. But there's always one thing to address. If you're buying your car new or used, how many miles it has, and if it's been maintained. You do not want to tune your car if it hasn't been maintained. If you do have a used car, before you tune it, you want to make sure that it's had regular oil changes. You want to make sure that the spark plugs have been replaced at the proper time, depending on how many miles your car has, as well as any other common BMW problems. Now, I'm not going to get too much into that, but if you guys would like, go ahead and comment down below, and I'll make a separate video on common B58 issues. But just a few off the top of my head, I know there's issues with the injectors, the Vano solenoid, there's the PCV, there's coolant loss. There's a bunch of things that you want to make sure that have been taken care of on your car before you even think about tuning it. So just remember, maintenance is always first. Oh, Mortwire, are you stupid? I already did maintenance. I'm ready to tune. All right, so let's get into it. If you're already taking care of maintenance and all you want is a stage 1 tune, then go ahead and flash it. There's really nothing that you need to do to the B58 engine in order to flash a stage 1 tune. Now all you have to figure out is what tuning platform you would like to go with. Two of the most common ones are boot mode and MHD. I personally have boot mode and love it, but I've also heard very good things about MHD if you want to go that route. It's a JB4 plugin that you kind of plug in on your car and it's not traceable apparently. I haven't heard too many good things about it, to be honest. I've only known one person that ran the JB4 and it said it made their engine act funny or misfire. But if you would like my advice, I say you just go ahead and get either boot mode or MHD. Now there is EcuTech as well. I know they're a newer tuning platform. Heard they're a little bit more expensive than MHD and boot mode, but word on the street, if you plan on upgrading your turbo and getting port injection, then EcuTech is a very good choice as well. So with a stage 1 tune only, no downpipe, it'll probably boost your horsepower about 40 to 60. So you'll be right below 400 horsepower. Now that brings me to my next point. If you do want to tune your car with a stage 2 tune, it is definitely recommended that you get a downpipe, whether it be catless or a high flow catted downpipe. You don't want to run a stage 2 tune with your stock downpipe because it's just simply not meant for that power and you can end up damaging your stock catalytic converter. But with the upgraded downpipe with a stage 2 tune, now you're talking power. Now with just those two simple things alone, a tune and a downpipe, you'll easily already be making 400 horsepower or more. Now obviously this is all dependent on the fuel in your area. Obviously a 93 octane tune is going to be a little bit quicker than a 91 octane tune. And obviously if you're running an E85 blend like an E30 tune or an E50 tune, that is going to make your car a lot quicker than a 93 tune. Now with that being said, let's go ahead and touch on the next topic, fueling. Now in the beginning of the video, I mentioned a Gen 1 B58 and a Gen 2 B58 TU. In the Gen 2 B58, it has an upgraded fuel pump, often referred to as the TU pump. Now don't worry, if you have a Gen 1 B58, you can always upgrade your fuel pump to the TU pump, and that's exactly what I did in mine. The main difference in these pumps is simply the TU pump just pumps out a lot more fuel, which in turn increases your horsepower. And also upgrading the TU pump allows you to run higher blends of E85. For example, before I upgraded my fuel pump to the TU pump, I was running an E30 blend E85 tune. And then once I ran the TU pump, I felt a lot more comfortable bumping up that ethanol content to an E50 mixture, which increased my horsepower. Now aside from the fueling, there is a physical difference in the fuel pump. If you look at the Gen 1 B58 fuel pump, it kind of has a dimple on the top of the pump itself. And then upgrading to the Gen 2 TU pump, it kind of has a smooth top chrome dome like Stone Cold Steve Austin, but that's one easy way to tell the difference between the two. Now back when I bought my TU pump, they weren't making them aftermarket. You kind of had to snag it off of a vehicle that was wrecked that had a Gen 2 B58. So I ended up getting mine from a Gen 2 Supra that was wrecked, but it's a lot easier for you guys now because now they're making TU pumps aftermarket, so you can pretty much get them from multiple websites. In my particular case, I upgraded my downpipe to a VRSF catless downpipe. I upgraded to a TU pump, and then I flashed my car with a stage 2 E50 mixture tune from boot mode, and I got my car dynoed, and just with those three things, I was making about 460 horsepower to the wheel, which is insane because a downpipe, tune, and TU pump will cost you less than $2,000, which is fairly inexpensive when we're talking a jump of about 120 horsepower. Because like I said, my car came with 320 to the crank, which probably means about 300 to the wheel. That compared to 460 to the wheel. So I increased my wheel horsepower by 160 for less than $2,000. That's pretty much it as far as basic tuning. The B58 doesn't really require a whole lot of prep before tuning and adding a lot of power. Now that we got that out of the way, I did want to move on to my next subject. If you do plan on adding a little more power, you know, upgraded turbo, port injection. But before we move on to that, let's just go ahead and review exactly what you need before tuning your B58. So obviously, first things first, you're always going to want to do maintenance on your car. Make sure your car is in healthy condition to be tuned. With that being said, for a stage 1 tune on the B58 engine, you don't need anything. If your car's in healthy condition, go ahead and flash the stage 1 tune, you're good to go. If you want the stage 2 tune on your B58, you will need a catless or high flow catted downpipe before you flash a stage 2 tune. But other than that, if you want to go ahead and stop there at a stage 1 or stage 2 plus tune, that's really all you need. But for all you heavy hitters out there that want to get 5 or even 600 horsepower out of your B58, go ahead and stick around. So your maxed out boost on your stock turbo, you got a catless downpipe, stage 2 plus tune running an ethanol mixture, you're right below 400 if not at 500 horsepower. What now? Well, you get an upgraded turbo. So in my car in particular, I went with a new Pure 800 upgraded turbo. Now that one in particular is a hybrid turbo, and most of them on the market are hybrid turbos. But if you do want to get like a big boost kit, they are a little more expensive, but by all means, that is an option. But with upgrading the turbo, there are a few other things at that point that you're gonna want to upgrade along with that to compensate for the power increase. One of those things being your fuel pump. Now I know what you guys are thinking, but Antonio, I already have a TU pump. It's not good enough, son. In my particular case, I actually had problems running a TU pump with my upgraded turbo. I did want to upgrade my fuel pump before getting a Pure 800 turbo, but they were all on back order and I was very impatient and decided to install the turbo regardless. I did make some pretty good power, but I ran into the problem of fuel cut. Obviously, if your engine or turbo isn't getting enough fuel, your engine is just going to automatically cut power to save you money so you don't up your engine. So with that being said, you are going to need an even better fuel pump. Now there are a couple on the market that come to mind, like Dorch or Spool. I personally went with the Dorch Stage 2 high pressure fuel pump. It is a lot better fuel pump than the TU pump, and it definitely is able to handle an upgraded turbo. Honestly, you can even get a Stage 1 Dorch high pressure fuel pump. It is better than the TU pump, but in my opinion, if you're gonna go ahead and spend the money on an upgraded fuel pump, you might as well go with the Stage 2, just in case you wanna ever up the boost or add more power in the future. As far as turbos, there are a lot of turbos on the market. Like I said, I had the Newcast Pure 800. I know the DAW or the Dynamic AutoWorks is a very popular turbo right now as well. But like I said, just do your research and figure out which one you're gonna like. So once you upgrade the turbo and upgrade the fueling, at that point, you're probably gonna wanna look at getting a charge pipe as well. Now, as I stated previously in the video, the charge pipe on the B58 is pretty sturdy, but when you're adding boost and adding power, you're gonna wanna make sure that you have a metal charge pipe. And it's always better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Now, I didn't mention it when I was mentioning turbos, but when you do upgrade the turbo, most of them will come with an upgraded turbo inlet. But for whatever reason, if it doesn't, that's another thing that you're gonna wanna upgrade. Lastly, when upgrading your turbo and upgrading your fueling, you're gonna want a tune to match that. So at that point, there really isn't an OTS or off-the-shelf tune that'll support having a big turbo or an upgraded hybrid turbo. So you're gonna have to reach out to someone that can give you a custom tune. Me in particular, I'm tuned with Sam. I don't wanna butcher his full name, but I'll leave his Instagram right here. But it's pretty much Sam Tuned. I'm tuned by Sam. He's the GOAT. I've had no issues with him. He's very responsive. He will get back to you if you have any questions. He's a very busy guy, so it might take him a day or two, but he definitely always gets back to you. And he's very good at revising your tune whenever you need it. He does only work on boot mode, so that's another thing to bring up. Depending on whether you have boot mode or MHD, there's different custom tuners that work on either platform. So you pretty much just have to do your research and find a tuner that you like that works with whichever platform you have. Once you upgrade the turbo, upgrade your fueling, and then get a custom tune, really the only thing after that is like getting port injection, you know, building your engine internals. But that's pretty much it. Once you get an upgraded turbo, fuel pump, and custom tune, that adds about 80 to another 100 horsepower. So in my case, I went from 460 horsepower to right at 600 horsepower. Now I was on an E50 blend custom tune. So just keep in mind, if you're just doing a pump gas tune, like a 91 or a 93 octane custom tune, you probably won't be quite at 600, maybe right below, maybe like 560, 580. That's pretty much as far as I've gone with my 340i, is right there at that 600 horsepower mark. From my experience, I would say 600 to like 650 is a safe range for the B58, where it's still reliable. Anything past 650, once you're hitting 700, mid sevens, kind of taking a gamble, and at that point I really wouldn't make it like your daily driver. If you're pushing that much horsepower, I would definitely have something else to daily drive, because you never know. But if you're a little speed junkie and you're looking for even more power, or trying to get the best time on the drag strip, there are a few other things that you can do to up that horsepower even more. Now, like I said, I personally haven't gone this far, so I'm not super knowledgeable on what you need, but I kind of have an idea. You can get port injection on top of your fuel pump. So this adds additional fueling to your engine, so that way you won't get any fuel cut at all. And you can up that boost without having to worry about running out of fuel. And then, like I said, at this point, if you're looking at that much horsepower, you're probably gonna want to start looking at people to go ahead and start building certain components of your engine, just to make sure that it can withstand that power, because once you get to like 7s, 8s, your stock block probably won't last that long. And I forgot to mention it when I was talking about the upgraded turbo, but if you do have a rear-wheel drive car or even an all-wheel drive car and you like to launch your car, you might want to look into upgrading your drive shaft as well. This seems to be a common thing when increasing the power on your B58. You like doing digs, all that power just instantly going to your tires usually snaps your drive shaft. But that just about wraps up today's video. If you guys have any questions on anything BMW related, B58 related, anything at all, Please don't hesitate, hit me up on my Instagram at Matwire. It's probably the best way to get in contact with me. If you like this video or it was helpful at all, please smash that like button. Once again, it does help me out tremendously and it helps the algorithm get this video out to more people, the more likes it has. Comment down below what you guys have done to your car. You guys are stage 1, stage 2, upgraded turbo. I want to hear about it. If you're not already subscribed to the channel and you like content like this, please consider subscribing. I will catch you guys in the next one. And as always, Matwire fam, remember your goals and don't stop until you reach them. Peace.
Excited just to see me, wish I felt the same way. Later on she'll probably get a name change. People changing on me like they gain weight. I wish that I waited on the same